Welcome back, everyone. This morning we begin a series of stories highlighting the drug overdose crisis in our community. On August 19th, city officials announced a health alert for the Lincoln community after seeing an incredible spike in overdose cases. Law enforcement, medical experts pleading with the public for help. And here's why. 149 overall overdoses this year to date. That's 16 more than all of last year, and officials are extremely wary of a specific kind of drug that's a combination of cocaine and fentanyl. That's causing 30 overdoses in a 3-week period alone, 8 of which have led to death, 9 including an unborn child.
Overdoses are not new to Lincoln, Nebraska, but the severity and the numbers are.
Overall numbers of overdoses are kind of shattering records here, which aren't records that are made to be broken.
We want to save lives. We don't want people dying from this mixture of drugs.
So over the next month, we will be breaking down why this is happening, getting insight from local experts and hearing community leaders. But most importantly, we're going to be sharing these stories of heartbreak for those impacted by drug addiction and overdose. Channel 8's Joseph Nasser spoke with a woman who used meth since she was 14. She's been sober for 5 years now and is hopeful that by sharing her story, she can help others as well.
I remember it as kind of just like I laid down like I went to sleep and I could hear. The only sense that I could use was my hearing. I couldn't lift my arms up. I couldn't speak.
Tasia Brummagem recalls her experience with overdose.
I could just hear what was going on around me. I don't remember much more of it than waking up, at the hospital, and then they did a panel and told me I had opioids in my system and that I had overdosed.
She grew up without her father around and witnessed domestic abuse in her home. At 13, she was a victim of sexual assault. Tasia says she started using drugs a year later to cope with that childhood trauma. Her drug of choice was meth.
It was my escape, and it felt good at the time, and that I didn't have to, confront my trauma or my problems or my feelings head on.
For some, an overdose might be a wake-up call, but Tasia continued to use.
Didn't care what happened to me, because if I survived that one, I was going to survive another one, and it would be all right.
No matter what happened, nothing seemed to compel Tasia to stop using.
I went to jail 5 or 6 times in a span of 6 months, and I got out and I did the same thing. So that wasn't enough for me. I had a CPS case. My kids were taken, and that wasn't enough for me. My kids were in foster care. That wasn't enough for me. I actually overdosed twice. That wasn't enough for me.
Then one day, she had an epiphany. She had had enough.
I remember my last arrest, and I went to jail, and I was just tired. I was done. I was just so defeated. There's many times where I should have been dead. You know what I'm saying? And I've survived.
Today, Tasia is sober.
I haven't picked up any substances in 5 years.
She works as a peer support specialist at Centerpoint, working with people to help overcome their addictions.
When I'm able to connect with someone, whether it's mental health or substance use, and I'm able to share my experience, and my hope that I have today and what works for me, just hearing someone say, wow, look at you, or you get it. It helps me, right? It's man, I get to do this. If I can just reach one person, that makes it so much worth it.
Reporting in Lincoln, Joseph Nasser with Nebraska's trusted news source.
All right, thanks to Tasia for telling that story. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be sitting down with a pain management expert who gives a little bit more insight on how you can detect an overdose victim and why that person becomes addicted in the first place. You'll be able to watch all these stories from our 8 Investigates Report series here on our website. Just click on the Lincoln's Overdose Crisis in the News drop-down bar.